The television star Nick Cannon was fired by ViacomCBS on Tuesday for making anti-Semitic remarks during a recent podcast in which he discussed conspiracy theories about Jewish people and praised a minister notorious for anti-Jewish comments. ViacomCBS is the parent company of MTV and the cable channel T-Nick, both of which prominently showcased Mr. Cannon for years on various platforms. Mr. Cannon, 39, had worked as an executive producer and chairman of T-Nick, a spin-off of the network Nickelodeon geared toward teenagers. He had also been a host and executive producer of the MTV comedy show Wild 'N Out. A ViacomCBS spokeswoman said in a statement that the company categorically denounced all forms of anti-Semitism. "We have spoken with Nick Cannon about an episode of his podcast, Cannon's Class on YouTube, which promoted hateful speech and spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories," the statement said. "While we support ongoing education and dialogue in the fight against bigotry, we are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge or apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism, and we are terminating our relationship with him." In a tweet on Monday, Mr. Cannon said, "Anyone who knows me knows that I have no hate in my heart nor malice intentions." A representative for Mr. Cannon did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Tuesday night. Mr. Cannon, an actor and a musician, is also a host on the Fox show, The Masked Singer. It was not immediately clear if Mr. Cannon's relationship with the network was being re-evaluated. Fox did not respond to requests for comment on Tuesday night. Mr. Cannon's dismissal by ViacomCBS came after the star wide receiver Deshaun Jackson was fined and disciplined by the Philadelphia Eagles last week for sharing an anti-Semitic quotation attributed to Hitler. On the June 30th episode of the podcast, Mr. Cannon was interviewing the rapper Richard Griffin, known as Professor Griff, about his dismissal from the hip-hop group Public Enemy in 1989. Mr. Griffin left the group after he said in an interview with the Washington Times, "The Jews are wicked. And we can prove this." He also said that Jews were responsible for the majority of wickedness that goes on across the globe. Speaking to Mr. Cannon, Mr. Griffin doubled down on his past remarks about the influence of Jewish people on the music and media industries. "I'm hated now because I told the truth," Mr. Griffin said. "You're speaking facts," Mr. Cannon said. "There's no reason to be scared of anything when you're speaking the truth." Mr. Cannon said it was an honor to have the legend Mr. Griffin on his podcast. He also said it was a shame that Louis Farrakhan, a minister known for his history of anti-Semitic comments, had been silenced on Facebook. Responding to Mr. Griffin's contention that 6 dominant media companies were controlled by Jewish people, Mr.